Rockstar Gang, what up? What up? Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new content. So I tell you what, man, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. We're going to talk about an analyst is questioning the new mentality of the Carolina Panthers and will it show results? We're going to talk about what does the 2024 season look like for the Carolina Panthers as a successful season. What does that look like as a successful season right now in 2024? What does that look like? We're going to talk about, are the Panthers still the worst team in the NFL? We're going to talk about that here shortly. We're going to talk about how Jadeveon Clowney is out to prove his worth here in Carolina. We're also going to talk about, is it a must? Is it necessary? Is it a need that the Carolina Panthers take a wide receiver in the second round? All of that in today's live stream. So make sure you pound the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And get in the comment section. Love to hear y'all's thoughts as we go throughout today's show. Yeah, appreciate it. Kevin Hubbard's in the house. Jeff R's in the house. Marcos Cash is in the house. I'll tell you what, man. I listened to a lot. Before we get started, I want to tell the real truth here. Some of you might know where I'm going with this. I'm going to tell the real truth of the Carolina Panthers. I tell the real truth already about the Carolina Panthers, I feel like. Maybe some of you don't believe that. That's okay. Some of you might not believe other content creators and what they say, what the real truth is about the Carolina Panthers. You know, I was just listening to a podcast. Great. I mean, they're good. They know what they're talking about. Sometimes. I wouldn't say 100% of the time. I don't know everything. I'm not 100% right every single time. I'm not 100% right every single time. But do I know ball? I would like to think so. I would like to think that I have a master's degree in ball knowledge. But the question to you guys is, do you think I know ball? See, the thing is that we have fans that are we have fans that are wishy-washy. We got fans that are they only support this team if their favorite player is still on the team. We got fans that actually truly like this team and truly will ride or die this team no matter what. This team could be the worst team in the NFL for the rest of my life, and I will still ride or die with them. That's what kind of fan I am. I will still be on, and I will still be on here or anywhere else talking about them, if that ever the case may be, comes to fruition. But to tell people that these guys, like we've got guys on this team that are average at best, that the moves we made were wrong, that the Bryce Young thing, you can say whatever you want about Bryce. I'm done having that debate. I'm so sick and tired of the Bryce Young debate. I'm so sick of it. I am so sick and tired of hearing these petty ass fans because they don't get their way. Because we got fans that want their cake and eat it too. That's the issue. We got fans that want their cake and eat it too. But they talk about, well, this is going to be a 5-6 year rebuild. But yet they still complain about the moves that this team makes. They still complain about Bryce Young. And nothing's ever good enough. And nothing's going to be good enough right now. This team is in a full rebuild mode. This team is not win ready now. Dave Canales can say all that you want. Right? There's nothing that we can do about this team right now, no matter what. I mean, we can question the moves. Some analysts already have. People complain about the new head coach. People complain about the new GM. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. You complain about every damn thing because it's not what you wanted. It's not the way you wanted it to work out. It's not in your control, though. You have no control over this. We have no control in situations in life either. I can only control what I can control, right? In life, same thing. So you complaining about this team, you making content and complaining about this team and saying this thing makes no sense to me. But then you say you have facts and you speak about analytics, but then you say, well, you can't just go based off analytics, but you'll bring up analytics. So make that make sense to me, that you'll bring up your own analytics that you feel are right, but if someone else brings up other analytics, it's not right. It's not the truth. You can't have your cake and eat it too. All you Panthers fans, all you Brian Burns crybabies. That's what you are. You're a bunch of Brian Burns crybabies. All you are is a bunch of fans who are crybabies and complain about everything. If you don't like the moves that they made, you don't like the head coach, you don't like the quarterback, you don't like anything that goes on with this, find another team. But if you're ride or die, make it make sense to me how you're ride or die without complaining about every move that you make. Because that's what these guys are. Because see, here's the thing. If Carolina goes out, so explain this to me, because I can break down the salary cap, how it would have worked out. You pay Brian Burns that $150 million contract, you're not signing any of these guys. You're not. I can break it down in the salary cap for you. I will be willing to show any of you guys how that works. I will be willing to show any of you guys how that works. No problem. I will sit down and I will run through it, how it works. But we complain that we don't re-sign guys. We complain that we don't sign guys. Then we complain when we don't keep no key players. That is an issue. I will say that. I will say that's an issue. I will say it's an issue with this organization that they've been known to not keep key players. They're not committed to these key players. But don't sit there and complain about every move because it's not Brian Burns. Yeah, the narrative's out there that Derek Brown might get traded for some picks. That's a narrative. That's a rumor. We don't know. We don't know if that's actually going to come to fruition. And you can't guarantee it. It's like putting a label on the box and guaranteeing it that it's going to work. It's not necessarily true. Yes, we probably went out and got average players. We went out and got older players. We went out and got a wide receiver, best separator in the NFL. We got 2 guards that we truly fucking needed. But we're still going to complain about that because we paid a guard. I thought that we were all about building within the trenches, right? I thought that was the narrative. I thought everybody would agree that we need to build within the trenches. You're not going to have a superstar at every fucking position. Let me make that clear. You can't have your cake and eat it too. That is the segment right now. You cannot have your cake and eat it too as a Panthers fan. That is the segment right now. This is the segment right now. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't. You have to move on. I'd rather have a well-rounded team than sign all-star after all-star. You sign 3 all-stars. You re-sign Brian Burns. You don't re-sign Frankie Louisville either. There's a slim chance. It's a very slim chance. I already broke that down once with the salary cap. I can break that down again. You sign Brian Burns, yeah, you might be able to sign some guys, but building this offensive line just within one draft was not going to fix your problem in 1 year either. And we don't know what they're going to do in the draft. Can't guarantee that. Yeah, do we need a center? Absolutely. We absolutely still need a center. Still absolutely need a wide receiver. We still absolutely need an outside linebacker. We still need an outside edge rusher. We still need to add to the corner depth. We still need to add to the tight end room. We still need to get a power running back. There is still wants and needs on this team. It's not going to be perfect after one off season. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. So if you want to be a Panthers fan, great. But don't complain about every fucking move this team makes. It's not going to be perfect. Nothing's ever going to work out the way you want it because it's out of your control as a fan. It's out of my control as a content creator and a fan. But you cannot have your cake and eat it too. There's salary cap involved. There's trades because you involved. You can't make trades with teams and then we've seen what happened in the past with this team making trades. Guess what happens? It always ends up being a bad one, and we get the short end of the stick of it. We get swindled, right? That's what's happened. But then we want to go out and say that Brian Burns had 8 sacks last year, and he's above average player because he's had 1 season of 12.5 sacks. But then DJ Wanham had the same stats last year. We want to call him average. Jadeveon Clowney had 9.5 sacks last year on a contender team. But we want to call him average too. Deontay Johnson only had 700 yards, but yet still in the past 2 seasons had over a 94 open score rate. Puts him at the best in the NFL in the past 2 seasons. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. You either accept the fact of where this team is and where it's at, or you don't. If you're a true Panthers fan, you will accept where it's at. Now, while I accept mediocrity, no. I'm not a fan that accepts mediocrity, but I'm also a realistic fan in the fact that I know we aren't going to go out and get all-stars. We're not going to rebuild this in 1 year. I just don't get it. It blows my mind. Sometimes I can't even wrap my head around some of the things that some of you Panthers fans say. That's even some content creators that say it. But I'm sick and tired of hearing people complain and cry like babies because Brian Burns is no longer here. Because Frankie Louisville is no longer here. YGM is no longer here. Dante Jackson's no longer here. Jeremy Chin is no longer here. Von Bell is no longer here. Hayden Hurst is no longer here. Bradley Bozeman is no longer here. You can listen, if you Panthers fans want to continue to complain on that and live in the past, go ahead and do so. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. That's all I'm going to say about it. I could rant on even more, but I got other topics to talk about today. So, fuck anybody who complains about this team. Again, do I think this team is ready to win now? No. Am I saying that? No. Am I excited for this next season? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see what comes. See if maybe some of these moves actually pan out. I'm going to say that. I'm 50-50 on the whole Bryce Young thing. Am I happy with the moves they made? Absolutely, because I think they've actually gone out and had a plan. They actually went out and got players. Like I said yesterday, this is the way I look at it. The whole skepticism of this whole thing is that they went out and they bolstered up the trenches, which is what I truly believe. They bolstered up the trenches on both sides of the ball. They traded Burns. They freed up $24 million for the Panthers. What did they do with it? They went out and got starters. Average starters, below average starters, above average starters, whatever you want to call them, for just $22.2 million. That's just in this season, and we're eating up that $48 million in dead cap. That puts us in top 5 in 2025 in cap space. Even after you start paying these guys, Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis. If you want to talk so bad about their contracts, go look them up. They're not bad, because even if we get away from them after the second season and it doesn't pan out, you're not eating it barely any dead cap. You're barely eating any dead cap. DJ Wanum, a lot of upside. Low risk, high reward situation. O'Shawn Robinson, block eating nose tackle, which is where he should be playing. If they don't put him at nose tackle, we're going to have a problem with Shy Tuttle. I don't know why he's even still on this team. Shy Tuttle should have been released. Josie Jewell, first off, people stop saying that this guy is Luke Kuechly-esque. He's not. I would say he's more Frankie Louvu-esque than Luke Kuechly. Josie Jewell is not even close to, couldn't hold Luke Kuechly's jock strap. Let's be honest. But Josie Jewell's stats ain't far off from Frankie Louvu. Jordan Fuller might be the best signing we had this offseason. I love what this guy brings, at least from a run standpoint, pass rush standpoint, but also in coverage. He can kind of just do it all. Jadeveon Clowney, as a Gamecock fan, I'm happy. Again, low risk, high reward situation for a 31-year-old edge rusher. And that's just a few. I think that the moves that they made showcase a roster management to bring stability and balance to this team. And that's all it is. It's not a win now situation. And again, you can't have your cake and eat it too. From a cap space standpoint, from a draft standpoint, from a free agency standpoint, from one off-season standpoint. They actually had a plan. Go watching Scott Fitter's past couple off seasons. You want to go back to that? You want to compare it to anything like that? At least Morgan and them actually seemed like they came out and had a plan. Focusing on the players who actually fit the scheme on both sides of the ball. This is not a win now situation, and it's not going to be perfect. You can't have multiple Pro Bowlers and All Pros on a team. You can't build an all-star team. It's about for us right now, it's just even building a team with a competitive foundation for the future. That's what the cold hard truth is. That is what the cold hard fucking truth is. I'm sick and tired of hearing all these fucking people on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram just fucking bashing this team. Like expect like it like because I think that these other people out there put this narrative that this team's going to win now. Well, I'm here to tell you that they're not. That's the whole fucking cold hard truth. Yeah, but can't tell analytics, Marcos Cash, because it's not the analytics people that they want to hear. Because it's only their analytics and facts that they believe. But again, people also make this narrative that it's a lie that Bryce Young didn't have multiple people in his head, in his ear, when multiple players and multiple coaches have said that. So make that make fucking sense to me. I will say that. There's multiple reports out there, multiple factual reports. David Newton, Joe Parsons, Adam Schefter, Adam Thielen, Hayden Hurst. All these people came out and said it. But yet, that's not true. But we'll say it's true that we have a meddling owner. We'll say it's true that, which we do. But we'll say certain, but it's just that we'll just say certain things, I feel like sometimes. But it's only certain people's words that are true, not anyone else's. Like no one can have a conversation with someone like that when it's only their facts and their talk, their speaks upon that. When they speak upon that is what I mean. So that's how we're starting it off today. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Well, I again, Mocha, I wish you would see. I wish some others would see it that way. AJ Brooks knows who pissed me off today. They probably know who I'm speaking about too if they see it. If they see my post, they'll know who I'm speaking about. And I love them. As fellow Panthers fans, I love those that love them. But stop complaining, man. Stop complaining. Stop complaining. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Sorry, I went on a rant. Was not able to look at it, but we just started off the channel today with you can't have your cake and eat it too. All right, let's dive into the first today's topics. Let's get into today's topics. I will get to your comments. I promise. I promise. I promise. Jadeveon Clowney. Let's start off with this. He's trying to prove his worth. Now we all know Jadeveon Clowney returned home. This is home. Okay. It isn't just about football, it's about redemption, though, for him. He wants to prove critics wrong. He has this renewed sense of purpose here, he says, and basically a drive to silence doubters. And Clowney is ready to unleash his potential in familiar territory. Now, for Clowney, signing with the Panthers isn't just about joining a team. It's about returning to his roots, making a statement. Growing up, he was only getting guys, if you don't know, he grew up only miles away from Charlotte, like 30, 45 minutes. Played college at South Carolina. Okay. Now, after a interesting time in Cleveland, had a career high season with the Baltimore Ravens, right? Clowney now enters the Carolina with a chip on his shoulder. and a determined show he's more than just potential. Clowney wants to embrace that prove it mentality, fueled by setbacks and criticisms. Now, Clowney's choice to wear number 24 last season was the reminiscent of Kobe Bryant's transformative return of the killer year, which reflected his desire to growth and redemption. Now, with a new number, he carries the lessons learned and the determination to showcase his ability in his own terms. Choosing Carolina over other suitors, Clowney sees opportunity to contribute to his hometown team's resurgence, which is what we're hoping for, right? Now, this aspirations of playoff contention, a desire to rewrite the narrative, we shall see. But Clowney aligns himself with the Panthers' visions for success. Now, Clowney ties to Carolina runs deep, right? Including connection with a 5-time Pro Bowl cornerback, Stephon Gilmore, his former high school and college teammate. Now, sorry about that. I had to shut my door. Now, another thing with Gilmore. Now, what the thing is that if he can get Gilmore to come here, because that's basically what it's going to come down to, and his support, and that bringing in familiar faces, he finds himself in an environment poised for growth and achievement. Now, the road ahead here, as Clowney embarks on this homecoming journey here, he carries the lessons of resilience and determination. And with the Panthers, he sees an opportunity to redefine a legacy, leaving behind doubts, proving his worth in each and every snap. So basically, Jadeveon Clowney has come out and said that he is out for blood. He is out to come here and basically bring what he brought to the Ravens to us. I'm looking forward to seeing what Clowney can do. I'm not going to say that I can't say that I'm like thinking he's going to have a monster year. But if he can bring in 9.5 sacks like he did last year, and DJ Wanu can bring 8, we will be sitting pretty. We will be sitting pretty for sure. So we shall see. All right. Let's get into the next topic here. Will Carolina's new mentality show results? That's the next topic here. So the Carolina Panthers, right? They transformed this team. All right. The spotlight is on their new revamped recruitment strategy. This team has put together, general manager Dan Morgan has wasted no time reshaping this roster, right? Recognizing the urgency so far to change after a dismal 2-win season. Now, what's the primary focus? Well, to me, was building within the trenches, surrounding Bryce Young as well, but building with the trenches on both sides with the talent that he needs to thrive. This is meant to bidding farewell to familiar faces, whether you like it or not. It's making bold moves in free agency and trades. I know some of you are questioning the hefty spending on the offensive line and the risk involved maybe in the Deontay Johnson trade. Some of you don't like it. Morgan remained determined and understanding the boldness was necessary to revive this struggling franchise. Now, analyst Eric Edholm came out and raised some doubts about the Panthers' approach and acknowledged their challenges while recognizing the potential for success. Now, according to Edholm, the key lies in Canales' ability to unlock Young's potential. That's what it really comes down to. Create a conductive environment for his growth. And I totally agree. Because despite the skepticism, I think Morgan's aggressive approach is justified with the investment made in Young. There was no room for half measures. The goal is clear: stabilize the team, provide Young with tools to success, and set the stage for future success. And that's on both sides of the ball. I don't see it just from an offensive standpoint. I think building within the trenches is really just the main focus in general, because they went out and got O'Shawn Robinson. He's a true nose tackle who eat up blocks. So from a defensive standpoint, getting him. Now, are there still needs to be moves that need to be done? I don't think so. I mean, unless they sign Stephon Gilmore, but other than that, I probably just go out and just look forward to the draft. I think in the end, the Panthers were aiming for one thing: balance. Again, like I said, building for the future. It's about building a competitive foundation for the future. Now, with what I feel that this team is building for the future, as in, now that they've got these guys in the free agency, because they still had to go out and fill voids. That's what I don't understand, why people are complaining about that. They still had to go out and fill these voids where they're missing pieces. So they went out and did that. And now they can go in this draft and draft the rest of the needs and the wants. Again, this is not going to be perfect. This team was never going to be built perfectly. This team was never going to be, this whole situation was never going to be perfect. The offseason moves aren't going to be perfect. The draft moves are not going to be perfect. But again, it's like I said earlier, they came out here and they came out with a plan. They focused on players who fit the scheme on both sides of the ball. Again, it's not a win now situation. It's about building a competitive foundation for the future. It's about bringing stability and balance to this team, not just re-signing all pros, which you cannot do nor can afford at every damn position. At every damn position. It makes no damn sense. We don't need Jadeveon to be a world beater. Just be the savvy vet presence to help us stop the run, pin his ears back on third down. Our immediate future depends on Bryce's development, but our success further ahead depends on Dan drafting better talent. That's what I'm saying, Trap Set. That's what I'm saying. But, but that doesn't make sense to other people, though. That's what I don't understand with this fan base. How can that not make sense to you? How can it not make sense that for this team to be successful again is that what we know that the future lies on Bryce Young's development. Now that we've gone out in the free agency and filled the voids that we needed to do, and I feel like we're more well balanced, at least from a run standpoint, I would say our pass rush is probably going to lack. Sure, you can say that. But I feel like our run defense is going to be 10 times better. That's why I feel like in the world of the NFL, the only thing that Carolina Panthers needs to do now at this point is, if you can stop the run, you add another pass rusher and you add a corner and you add depth in that corner room, because what is this league? A pass first league? Then yeah, you got something there. If you can add that, you might have something. You never know. It might be well balanced enough that Evero can make this work. I mean, Evero, that's another thing people are discounting, is Evero is such a good defensive coordinator. He took practice squad players last year, and this team still somehow finished top 5 in certain defensive categories. But we can, especially in the corner position, you cannot rely on JC Horn to stay healthy. So that's why I'm like, I really want to build more depth in that corner position. But I cannot rely on DJ Wanum and Jadeveon Clowney and hope that they have the same season they had last year. I still think they need to add a pass rusher. I think they will in this draft. I think they'll add a corner in this draft. And we're going to talk more about the draft here shortly. This brings me to my point. I feel I always need to make draft best player available is stupid. You need to draft the best fits available. Every skill set will not benefit your team or scheme. Exactly. That's why I've been saying that Trey said, I'm glad someone is actually out here and is actually speaking facts besides myself. That's what I've been saying, guys. The point is that what they did in free agency has got to be the same way that they came out and did in the draft. Bringing guys in that they need, but also guys that fit the scheme. Like you can't just bring anybody in and say, oh, well, this guy's going to be able to, fit in right in the 3-4 defense. No, I mean, that's not how it works. It just doesn't work that way. So yeah, I think it's the best player available that fits for sure. I'm all about that too, Trap Set. I'm all about that too. And I think a lot of people on my channel feel the same way too. Now, let's get into this little debate here. Are the Panthers still the NFL's worst team? Are the Panthers, because we made some significant moves to address the weaknesses this offseason, right? And I know people are probably still skeptical. Some people think this team can win the division. Some people believe that this team's only going to win 3 games. Some people believe that this team's going to win in the middle of the pack of 8 games. I think everybody is indifferent. And I believe everybody's right to their opinion. Don't get me wrong. I will say that. But also, make it make sense. Make it make sense. Until coaching proves otherwise. Yep. Yep. That's what I've been saying, Trap Set. So, despite some of the signings, I guess you could say were splashy, sexy, whatever you want to call it, or the strategic trade moves that they made, right? There's a shadow that's still looming over this organization's head. There's still that deep, dark cloud. And General Manager Dan Morgan orchestrated a flurry of activity, bolstered the offensive lineup, getting guys like Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, and injecting some talent into the defense with a slew of additions. Yet, even with these improvements, the Panthers find themselves at the bottom of the NFL ranks. Now, the skepticism isn't unfounded. Deontay Johnson trade may hold promise. It's a gamble. It's a dice roll that could either play dividends or leave the Panthers wanting. Let's remember the elephant in the room. The pivotal role of the head coach, Dave Canales, in nurturing the potential of Bryce Young. Yes, there is room for cautious optimism, for sure. The pieces are falling into place very slowly. The Panthers I think, are only destined to dwell in the league's cellar for a while, but that ascent hinges on Young's ability to step up and deliver to prove that he's the franchise QB, which we're going to talk about next. My expectations may be low, but there is the potential for redemption. I will say that. I think each and every snap, every play can defy the odds, rise from the depths, reclaim their status. It's not gonna be easy, but it's something worth achieving is needed, right? You ever heard that before? Like, some things aren't easy, but some things are worth going after, and that's just in life in general. So here's the thing, I don't believe we had the worst roster last year, just the worst combo of talent, we literally could I don't know, Trey, upset. I think it's kind of a combination of both. I really do. I really think we had one of the worst rosters last year. I really do. And I think I will say this, I think we have one of the worst rosters in certain positions. I really do. Yeah, did they not fit the scheme? Sure, but I still think it's a combo there. I would at least say on paper we have a better line of the Patriots right now. They honestly have more roster questions than we do. Well, I would say so, Gary. I think Gary, you're right too in that aspect of things. I think that we have made some moves to not have the worst roster now because they actually went out, like I said, and actually went out and had a game plan. We actually went out and had a game plan. And I felt like this time Dan Morgan actually went out there, actually had a game plan. We, we definitely did. I've been telling y'all this, Mocha. We had two of the top 10 worst wide receivers at creating separation. We had two of the worst wide receivers at creating separation last year. Top 10. Two of them were in the top 10. That's Jonathan Mingo at number 2 and DJ Chark at number 10. Because only thing that DJ Chark had in his route tree is a straight line. That's all he had. I don't think you can say overall though. Look how many games we lost by a touchdown or less. Better game planning. We're having a different offseason. You might be right, Chet. You might be right. You might be right. I just don't see it that way though. It's hard for me to still see it that way after last year. It's really hard for me to see that way. That's the thing. It is. It's very hard for me to see it that way. After I've broken it down and look at the analytics and stuff like that, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it's hard for me to see it your way. But I wouldn't say it's wrong. I'm not gonna say you're wrong by any means, but you could be right. All right, let's talk about this. So, what would be considered a successful season in 2024 for the Carolina Panthers? I mean, sure, wins matter, right? But the 2024 season, I feel, holds a more profound significance for the Carolina. One that transcends the traditional win-loss column. It's all about Bryce Young, right? The quarterback and his evolution into a franchise cornerstone. Dave Canales isn't just talking about victories. He's talking about crafting a narrative of development and progress. He envisions Young as a player and a leader who can elevate the entire team. And why shouldn't he? Canales has a record of breathing new life into quarterbacks written off by many. His belief in Young's potential isn't a blind faith. It's backed by a keen understanding of what it takes to thrive under center. Now, Young's growth isn't measured in wins alone. It's in his passes, precision, the pocket presence, the resilience to bounce back from setbacks. That's what makes you a good franchise quarterback. Canales isn't asking for miracles in every play. He's instilling a mindset of just consistency, collective effort, right? At least that's what I'm getting. I mean, if Young can grasp these fundamentals and unleash his natural talent when it counts, it will mark triumph and a far beyond any single game. So the Panthers embark on their journey into the 2024 season. I think success isn't just about claiming the division titles or hoisting trophies. I think it's about, again, we've said it before, and Trap said it and said it in the chat. It's about Bryce Young's development, laying the foundation for a brighter future. Whether now, I think now with this team, now defensively, yes, we still need a pass rusher. I still believe that. But this hinges, again, success hinges on Bryce's development. Again, my expectations are low. I think it's about, but again, fulfill even a fraction of his promise under Canales' guidance. That will be the accurate measure of success for me in 2024. That's the way I look at it. I don't think that's asking for much, and I don't think that's over too much. I don't think that's asking for too much. I think that is perfect amount. I don't think you. Let's see. I know. It's so funny you say that because it makes me think about watching. It just makes me think about watching some of those freaking game films, man. No, please don't get worse. Yeah. I think that's definitely Mocha. If I see those kinds of stats, that's definitely improvement, man. That's definitely improvement. I'm right there with you. I've said 3,500 yards, over 20 plus touchdowns, under 13 interceptions. I'm right there with you. I think that's definitely an improvement. I wouldn't say it's like, oh, this guy's our guy, but I would say it's an improvement. I think Tom, if Tomlin had our team or had this team, for sure, absolutely. I can't agree more. Trap set. All right, is a second round wide receiver necessary for the Carolina Panthers? I know that this wide receiver core undoubtedly needs reinforcements. I still believe it needs one more guy or the guy. Some people believe that Deontay Johnson's not a bona fide number one. I think the urgency of drafting a wide out in the second round might not be but I've been thinking about it. I don't think it's as pressing as some believe. With 2 picks in that round, the temptation of snagging a playmaker early is undoubtedly there. But Dan Morgan can afford to exercise patience and strategic moves when it comes to this draft. I think the Panthers have the luxury choice in a draft class swarming with talent at the receiver positions. Now, I know that names have been thrown around with this team, right? Keon Coleman, Xavier Legette, Lab Munkin, all are enticing prospects, right? But there's a depth beyond the top tier options, right? This depth, I think, gives Carolina the flexibility that they can remain vigilant for values of picks that may rise later in the draft. Now, Morgan's approach reflects his sentiment. While acknowledging the need to add impactful players and foster that competition to this team. Now, he emphasized the importance of selecting best player available. I think this principle ensures that the Panthers avoid falling into the trap of reaching for a need at the expense of overall talent acquisitions. I still believe that they it's hard for me because I'm so indecisive though. Even though I say that I feel that they could fall in that trap of need, but then instead of going for the guy who's the best player available, it's hard for me though. Like part of me feels that way, but I also, Trap said it too. He felt like that, and in the comments he said he felt like this team, this team, if they, he said it right here. He said it right here. I think that it's hard for me to not feel that way either, though. It also it's hard for me not to feel that we need to do best player available. But it's also hard for me not to feel that we need to go after the needs. So in this comment, it's like I'm in between because you don't want to miss on that guy. You don't want to miss on that blue chip, right? I think that you need to get guys, and I'm going to say this as my final statement. I think you need to make the right moves in this draft. I think it's the best player available that you need that best fits as well. I think Trap Set's right on this. Because if you think about it, not every player, and he's right in one thing. Not every player is going to fit that scheme. Not every player is going to fit what this team is doing on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball. I think that Carolina is one of I think this approach reflects on his sentiment of bringing in dogs. Now, indeed, Carolina is one of many standout receivers away from maybe having that offense going, right? Building a winning roster requires sometimes a holistic approach that prioritizes the accumulation of good quality football players across all positions. By inheriting to this philosophy, the Panthers can avoid the pitfalls of desperation driven by the draft, position themselves for long-term success. I think it's probable that the Carolina Panthers will definitely invest in a receiver early in the draft. It's not a mandate. I think the depth of this year's class affords them the luxury of the patience in that. I think as this draft unfolds, the Panthers can assess their options and make informative decisions that align with their vision of this team's future. That's what I was getting at. Depends on who is there at 33 or 39. What was the question? Gary Gain, random question. If we took a running back in the later rounds, who would you prefer in this zone scheme and why? Man, I think that we've got to if we're gonna be getting a running back in this draft class, I like guys like Braylon Allen, Trey Benson, Isaiah Davis out of South Dakota State. I would even mention Jonathan Brooks. The reason why I would say Trey Benson though is because Chuba Hubbard had a lot solid season for the Panthers last year. Obviously, he's entering his final year of his deal. He averaged around 3.8 yards per carry last year. I still think they could use an upgrade there. I think a guy like Trey Benson, for example, who tested out as near as close as Bryce Hall when he in his NFL combine. If you go look at Benson's and Hall's NFL combine, their numbers are almost the same. I mean, like almost identical. The problem for me is Benson tore his ACL in 2021 with the Oregon when he was with Oregon. But he shined. I mean, he showed flashes of himself back at Florida State in the last 2 seasons. He's averaging more than 6.1 yards per carry. In that span, he helped the Seminoles last year, go undefeated. So I think he could step in. I think a guy like Benson could step in, be that number 1 back. I think it'd be a great pick for us. I'm starting to like Trey Benson more as I have studied him. So to your question, Gary, I would say Trey Benson. He reminds me a lot of, I mean, his numbers are identical to Breece Hall. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, I like Ray Davis too. I think scheme wise, he definitely fits the mold. But if I'm looking at another guy, I'm looking at like Trey Benson. I'm looking at Trey Benson because having a guy like a Breece Hall, guy who has the same numbers as Breece Hall. Now, I'm not gonna say this guy's gonna be Breece Hall, but if he could even be close to Breece Hall, that's a win. Trap said, I think the Panthers are trying to be assholes and puck him because they heard the Saints wanted him. I mean, dude, who cares? Bucks as a Bucks fan, I want to come. I was gonna come here talk shit, but bullying Panthers just feels like bullying a disabled kid in a wheelchair. John Harbaugh, you sound like that's something you've done before in your life. You're right. BPA is the move. You and you're a contender can afford to let a player develop. We need right now players that can hit the ground running. I think Gary Game, we gotta get best players available that fit the scheme, not necessarily the best talent. I think that doesn't mean that these guys aren't the best talent just because we picked them at that position. But I still think that you could still get guys that could get up and go. I just still think that you got to pick the best player available that fits your scheme, not just guys that um they're the best talent available. I think you have to look at it from that standpoint because we have not done well, whether it's through free agency or drafting, bringing in guys that fit the scheme. We've seen it time and time again. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, well, that didn't happen, John. That did not happen. Honestly, John, I think it's between you guys and Atlanta now. I still think the Bucks could still win the division. If Baker can come still have the um same year that they had last year, they could win this division again. But I think it's going to take more now with Atlanta with Kirk Cousins. I think with Kirk Cousins, Atlanta wins. Um, 11, 10, 11 games. So you're going to need more than as a Bucks fan, y'all going to need more than 9 games like you had last year. The running back question is interesting. Are you drafting someone to complement Chuba or replace Chuba? I would say that you are getting a guy to Do both. You're replacing him, but also complimenting him. Like, it's just like how Deontay Foreman was that power back, right? Then you brought in Chuba in the third down positions to be that elusive guy. I think that's what you're doing. I think you get a guy like Trey Benson or Braylon Allen. I think those are guys that fit. Or Audric Esteem out of Notre Dame. I like him too. Big workhorse running backs. I don't think he'll fall. He might. He might. You never know. John, I mean, that could be a situation that they do go. I'm not sure how. I like Troy Franklin, but I'm worried about his size at 176. Now, again, Devontae Smith made that work. So, you know, if you go look at, I think Franklin and him are about the same size. Troy Franklin doesn't fit Bryce. He needs a big target with big catch radius to win contested. Trap said, I've been on here, said the same thing. I think a Xavier Legette fits the mold. I think a big X wide receiver fits the mold. But a lot of people believe that we need guys who have great route trees, right? Great route runners, great separation. I think that's a narrative that you need too, but I still think you need a guy that can go up and get it. Yeah, they're definitely clear favorites. The Falcons are definitely clear favorites. For sure, nervous. For sure. Seems like it's an impossible task, but Ritter was somehow how more ass than Bryce Young. Now they get Kirko. Kirko Chains, man, coming in hot. Yeah, that's true too. Nervous. That's true. That's true. But Troy Franklin's good, man. The tape is there. He's just isn't a lock to work out in the NFL. That's the issue, Moco. If it, in a perfect world, Carolina for me gets like an Adonia Mitchell, right? Somebody like that. So okay, guys. Well, one trick pony. True. I do like Braylon Allen too a lot. Great Gary game. We've been on this show, talked about him multiple times. So, guys, I've got to hop off this. Today was a short show. I appreciate it. Today was a short show. I had to get the only nervous with the $5 donut. Appreciate that, nervous. The only second round wide receiver we ever drafted that was great was Muhsin Muhammad. This team notoriously had a bad drafting wide receiver in round 2 and different. With different GMs, that's for sure. Falcons are the favorite. The thing is he is too old in trenches. They are fragile. Could get a bit by injury bug. I don't care about your weapons. We'll see. We shall see how it pans out. You can't have your cake and eat it too, is the saying today. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound the like button, subscribe to the channel. Maybe I'll be live later, maybe not. Might be getting some shorts out to you guys, but I have got to hop off. Appreciate everyone joining. Make sure you pound the like button, subscribe. And as always, guys, y'all know what to do. Keep pounding. Peace.